Good evening to you. You're locked into the radio with a difference, of course. That's Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and, of course, 99.5 FM. It is time for the Lall Show. Tell it as it is. Before we hand the mic over to Mr. Lall himself, we have a few housekeeping matters. Let's first announce that there will be a few audios slash videos played within tonight's presentation. If you want a link to those videos, we'll post it right in the comment section of tonight's videos on our Facebook page at Kaieteur Radio. So of course you'll have to stay in the know. We do this because we're trying to prevent, the normal copyright infringement. So the best we could do is to post the link on our Facebook comment section, and of course you can find them right there. Without further ado, it's a busy night tonight, Monday, new month tomorrow. Without further ado, over to you, Mr. Lall.
Thank you, Kevin. Joshua not around tonight. Namaste and a happy Monday to each and every one of you. I hope you guys had a great weekend because I had a wonderful one. Kevin, you had a good weekend?
Yes.
I had a beautiful weekend. And before I start, I want to say to all of you, thanks for tuning in every Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday at 7:20, listening to this program. Yesterday, a sergeant of police that I know who do not miss these programs said to me, Mr. Lall, you see Exxon made 2 new discoveries? I had a smile the way he said it. He was happy and at the same time unhappy. I realized that he doesn't really understand what is going on out there and what sits out there for the Guyanese people. And Uncle and Auntie, this is the problem with many other Guyanese. So I just want to repeat to all of you what I said to him. Picture the Demerara, Essequibo, and Berbice rivers. And you throw a cast net 2-3 spots and you turn up full with fishes. What you think you will get if you continue throw the net further into the rivers? No more fish? Well, it is the same thing with ExxonMobil in the Stabroek Block. That Stabroek Block, that gold field, that pond with oil Exxon has stretches from the Suriname border to the Venezuelan border. And what ExxonMobil find in Liza 1, 2, 3, and 4 is just a tiny part of that whole stretch of the ocean Exxon holding on to. So guys, what they're discovering every day is nothing to shout about. Them now start throwing the net further into the ocean, where there's lots and lots of oil. So don't get all excited about the many more new oil finds. They have billions of barrels more out there, worth trillions of US dollars. Start skinning up your face as to what you will be getting out of the trillions. So when you all see government and ExxonMobil announcing new finds, just ask yourself, what is there for your starving children? That's the question you got to ask. And that's the kind of discussion I want to hear on this radio station, on this program. You guys have to call. You have to call and let's talk. Don't be afraid or ashamed to ask any question. Whether it comes over stupid or insane, whether it didn't sound right to you, call in and ask the question. Because there are many people like you who may not have a telephone but listening. Or who may have a telephone and don't have credit. Or the internet to call us. To let us know what is bothering them. Just like how that sergeant of police says, Mr. Lall, what about the two new oil finds? And I explain it to him. Just that two sentences from the sergeant's mouth made me realize he really didn't understand what's going on in this land. At the end of the gaff, he said to me, Mr. Lall, thanks. I didn't see it that way. So at the end of this program, Uncle and Auntie, feel free to ask the stupidest of questions. I will try my best to give you an answer. So please call and let us hear what's going on in your mind. And we can have this discussion. Like I said many times before, I don't know everything. However, if you call and I can't answer the question, then I'll get back to you on the next program with the answer. So, with that said, I want to begin tonight's program. President Ali had an interview last week with an American journalist working with Al Jazeera TV, the largest Arabic news agency in the Arab world. He told the journalist that the story of Guyana is not oil and gas, it's about tourism. Bora, Baji, rice and sugar. This is what I saw broadcasting to the entire Arab world Saturday night on Al Jazeera TV. I had to pinch myself to ensure that I was not dreaming again and that somebody was not imitating President Ali's voice. I had to come off my bed to shake my body back into place after realizing it was President Ali's voice. And it's the truth I'm telling you people. Boran Baji he talk about. Other than ecotourism and agriculture from President Ali, the news item showed the Massa Exxon boss here in Guyana talking about the transformation of Guyana, along with a representative of the opposition from the PNC, talking about the cost of living and the unequal distribution of the few pennies we're getting from the oil. I will break it down one by one and try to make it as simple as possible for you guys to grasp what is going on in this country from the standpoint of the president, Massa Exxon, and the opposition. What they all told the foreign journalists. But first, let me give you the opportunity to listen to the entire news item for yourself before I do that. We are going to play this tape. We cannot play it for the viewers on YouTube and Facebook. So we have put up the link to which you can listen to it and then tune in back to us. Could you play that tape? Yeah, go Georgetown, Guyana, John Hendron, Georgetown, Guyana. That was the news item I spotted on Al Jazeera Saturday night that made me have to come off my bed and shake myself to put my body back into one piece. Our president, President Ali, is hesitant and fearful of holding a press conference in Guyana to face the Guyanese press, to tell this nation about their oil wealth. But he can find the time to sit down with an American journalist working for a foreign news agency so that they can tell the rest of the world, not us, that they must mark his words. The story of Guyana is not oil and gas. It's about ecotourism and agriculture, and how this country is going to be the leader in food and ecotourism. Wow. Not oil, uncle. Ecotourism and food. Yes. Our oil is on every world leader's tongue, day and night. Our oil is on all the stock exchange boards and markets. Our oil is on every international financial institutions, but not on Guyana's president tongue or in his mind. Bora, Baji, rice and sugar, birds and wild animals is on his tongue. Really? Really, uncle? You have heard him for yourself. In his own words, 66 years since independence, and we haven't planted or produced to supply we own homes, we own people, rice and sugar at a cheap and competitive price. Yet our president saying Guyana will be the leader in food security and agriculture. Oh yes? Really, uncle? Everything double. Agriculture is in a crisis. Sugar is on its deathbed. Rice farmers complaining. And consumers are bawling about the cost of food. Yet Guyana, according to President Ali, will be the leader in food security for the world. Not this US $1 trillion oil we have, but we will be the leader for food in the world. Just listen to him back again, please. Listen to this piece again, please. Play it up the first video. When I listen to these leaders, with the wealth we have, what we have just discovered too, I can't control my mind from thinking of Africa, Europe, North America, and places like Dubai. I just can't. In those countries, uncle and auntie, the prison inmates are living in rooms that has TV, washroom and beds that is better than what the regular Guyanese living with in their homes. Those countries, auntie, have flower gardens alongside their well-decorated marble stone and brick tile pavements. Those countries have air-conditioned bus stops. Their jails have gyms better than any one of our local fitness clubs in this country. How that can be possible here when you have leaders and governments talking about bura, rice, baji, and ecotourism with birds and wild animals? You tell me, man. In Africa, there is no pavements along the roadway. The Africans have to walk on a mud track, side to the road. You don't want to see the one and two bus stops they have. And you don't want to see the condition of the hospitals and jails in Africa. No, you don't want to see that. You definitely don't want to see what it looked like. Guyana is heading there. Dubai can have air-conditioned bus stops and pay their citizens a monthly salary to stay home and import Africans to work as policemen and women in Dubai. They import shopkeepers from India, Indonesia, and Bangladesh. That's where all the maids and helpers come from. You know why, guys? Because they have leaders who have their oil as number one priority on their tongues. Get the best so their citizens and country can be the best. Here in Guyana, our president number one priority is food, followed by ecotourism. A country that is infested with crimes of all kinds. Yes, this is how President Ali will get the white man to come to Guyana to see birds and wild animals. Really? Really, Mr. Ali? Uncle and auntie, it bothers my soul that President Ali had the opportunity to showcase that criminal oil contract Exxon gave us to the entire Middle East and the world, where we could have gotten some advice, some help. But he chose to dismiss oil completely from that interview. Can you believe this is a president in a country that has 11 billion barrels of oil and billions more lying under the seabed, talking about boora, rice, and sugar? Huh? These are the people y'all staining y'all fingers for? I'm just asking. Many of you have been voting race. Let me say this. Race will run away, and soon you will have no race to live with, but animals. It's in the making. Every day, you look at the Guyanese social media commentators, it's all about race. They can't see beyond that. No. Don't ask me why. I don't know. Like it's embedded within them and within some of you. I am not upset with you. Don't think I'm upset with you guys. I'm just numb. I want to play back Mr. Ali for you to hear him. Just play the next tape.
Critics in the opposition party warn of the
My operator made a mistake and played the wrong tape. He played the interview with the opposition member after the journalist would have interviewed President Ali, in which he talked there about the resource course, which was not elaborated on the news item. I wish it did. But instead, show the world in which he talked about the huge escalation of inequality among the Guyanese people. What he means is how the gap, the space between the rich and the poor has widened. I'm happy that he's seeing something that has already begun to happen in this country. The rich, the few rich will get richer, and the poor, the masses of the poor, will become poorer. That's what he said there. Then he was heard telling the journalists, the stock market gone up 400%, but minimum wage in Guyana only gone up 36%. At least I was happy to hear the opposition representative telling the world about where the Guyanese people is at the moment. cannot have a salary to match the increase of the cost of living in the fastest growing economy on earth, with 11 billion barrels of oil already in the bag and billions more to come. Minimum wage can't raise. That's what he said. Let me play him. Let me play him back for you to hear him, just in case you miss. Play it back. Play back.
Critics in the opposition party warn of the so-called resource curse that struck other oil-rich nations.
I think you guys heard there a bit clearer. Could you play the next tape?
Only a decade ago, Georgetown's Demerara River was a sleepy
That's two tape. I guess you're playing the wrong tape. Uncle and Auntie, during the news item, there was no mention of how Massa Exxon shafted Guyana. The opposition nor President Ali did not use that opportunity to showcase to the world Guyana's oil and how we are getting shafted with that ExxonMobil contract. Instead, they talked about what is important to them. We are in a sad state of affairs in this land. We are at the worst possible place one can think of with these leaders. Who doesn't want to talk about criminal contract? Oh my gosh, talking about Burambaji and ecotourism, birds and wild animals. How can our leaders talk about that and minimum wage not increasing in this country? How can our leaders talk about those things when our country has more oil per capita, per person, than just about every other nation on earth, man? Something is wrong here. Every household should have already been getting the minimum $200,000 right now, with that 350,000 barrels of oil they're pumping a day. When it jump up to 1 million barrels, every home can get at least $1 million per month. And that is bonus I'm talking about, not the real oil money. Bonus, uncle. The citizens of many oil-producing countries like Kuwait, Dubai, Norway, Saudi Arabia, just to name a few, are living like kings and queens because their leaders did what was right. They fought the oil companies and get that kind of life for their citizens. What are you getting here from your leaders? Hollow words, and most of the time no words. And if they do speak, it's the graveyard they're sending y'all with speed up oil production and nothing there for you. As the American journalist said, Guyana represents 1/3 of all the oil discovered since 2015 in the world. Just for you to understand more clear, Uncle, every 3 barrels of oil found in the world since 2015, 1 day in Guyana. And our leaders talking about Bora and Baji and minimum wage. Let me explain some more of what the American journalist told the world about Guyana. Please listen to him.
Only a decade.
Only a decade ago, Georgetown River was a sleepy port. Today it's a hive of activity as oil service vessels shuffle back and forth to offshore rigs. Uncle, you guys hear how this American journalist describing our Demerara River? A sleepy port, and now it's full of activities. He doesn't know, and the world doesn't know, or didn't know, who is making the money with the activities going on there, and how the Demerara River moved from a sleepy port to a busy place. They don't know that. They don't know that President Ali went and borrowed 4 million US and paying fat interest for remove the sunken ships that was sitting at the mouth of the Demerara River so that the oil boats can pass there now freely. No. The world doesn't know that. And President Ali certainly didn't tell him that. The world doesn't know that this starving nation can't raise the minimum wage to cope with the runaway cost of living. The world doesn't know that half of Guyana school children going to school with empty lunch kits and fainting in classrooms out of hunger. The world doesn't know that pensioners can't even buy enough Pampers with the pension money they're receiving. But the world hearing how the sleepy Demerara River has come to life and is full of activities for the oil companies. The world didn't hear about how the entire fishing industry disappeared, and that now, yes, that now we have to import fishes, seafood in general to eat. The world didn't hear that. President Ali didn't tell them that, or the opposition leader. They are hearing, the world is hearing about the fastest growing economy on earth, the biggest GDP anywhere on earth, and how Port Georgetown busier than Heathrow and Kennedy airports. Yes, you heard President Ali. He is celebrating the oil production, the ramp-up oil production. To get what? To get what, Auntie? More hunger, more destruction of our roadways, more sewage, filth, and more loans. This is what Jagdeo and Ali, running full speed ahead to allow Massa Exxon and others to empty the oil basin overnight. If you didn't hear him clearly, I want to play him back. Could you play back that tape? speeding up, uncle. Getting what? Nothing. Emptying our oil basin. I want you guys to listen to this piece carefully. Today only, today, this morning, Joe Biden, the American president, announced if the oil companies don't drop the oil prices to lessen the burden on the consumers, he will ensure that the American people get more from them. He said he's willing to slap on a windfall tax to ease the pressure the people going through. Wow. That came about days after Exxon Mobil reported they made a record-breaking profit of 19.7 billion American dollars. And Chevron, another oil company, posted an 11.2 billion US profit, their second highest record-breaking profits. I talked about that same 19 billion profit Exxon made only on Friday gone. And you guys see who taking action? The American government, Joe Biden, wants more. Wants more for his country out of the profits those oil companies made. We have no royalty to talk about. None of us authorizing and approving the investment packages of these oil companies. We're not checking, or we have no say. We are not overseeing the expenses or production costs. And we, President, telling Exxon to empty the oil basin as quickly as possible. My gosh. Whew. I'm getting a little headache. I don't know where it's coming from. It's only a few months ago, uncle, President Joe Biden and Prime Minister Trudeau of Canada had raised their royalty rates. England, France, and many other oil-producing countries also raised their taxes after they saw the amount of profits Exxon Mobil, Total Energies, and the other oil companies making, to ensure that the true owners, their citizens, also reap the sweetness of the wealth that belongs to them. Yeah, man. What happened to Guyanese? What happened to our leaders? Goat bite we? Huh? Or dog scratch them? Wow. Joseph Biden ready to slap on more taxes on Exxon, 19.7 billion profits, while President Ali and Jagdeo speeding up oil production getting nothing. When are you staying on your fingers for children who never run a cake shop in their life? This is what happens in a country. You get nothing. Absolutely nothing. Let's go back to Al Jazeera news item, please. You get absolutely nothing. And it's not irritating. It's mind-boggling. Let's go back to the Al Jazeera news item.
Guyana's sprawling Stabroek oil field holds an
Massive outrage told the American journalist working for Al Jazeera so that he can share it to the world. Play that same tape. Yes. Yes, uncle. It's big on an international scale, a global scale, as far as oil and gas resources being found around the world in the last 7-8 years. But also at a national level, this is transformative for the country called Guyana. His words. Massa Routledge, telling the world how beautiful Guyana will become. But he is not telling the world how Guyana's $1 trillion lottery ticket is in his hands. No, he's not telling the world that. You guys hear how smooth he come over with their words? Them looking out for Guyanese. Them will make you all right. That is what he mean when he used that big word, transformative. He will change your lives from beggars to kings with the oil money that will be coming. That is what he's telling the world. It's the exact thing. They use the CPL cricket to trick the world and make them believe that they are giving Guyana the world of money. When in fact, the oil companies alone walking to the bank and we walking to the breadline. Transformative. Filling your heads with empty promises and lies. And the whole Guyana jumping up for joy along with the social media commentators when they listen to these things. Uncle, the reporter told the whole world how Guyana's infrastructure here in Georgetown has been growing by the day since we discovered oil in 2015. And the news item was showcasing Georgetown with a new Pegasus Hotel building. Hear him for yourself. Play that. Oh boy. The reporter told the whole world how Guyana infrastructure here in Georgetown is growing day by day since we discovered oil. Oh my. The whole world looking and listening to him would believe, uncle, money build that. When in fact, not a single Guyanese got a cent from the billions they already pump out of Guyana. This is how Exxon also wants to showcase Guyana to the world, as if oil money building that hotel. Guys, every single building you see going up in this country and in the city is the Guyanese people taking loans to expand their businesses or using their hard-earned cash to develop their lives. But the world doesn't see that or doesn't know that. The world hearing how Guyana is transforming with the oil money. Yes. And non-Guyanese didn't see that news item. but the entire Arab world. Wow. Wow. Is a Chinese loan build that new Pegasus hotel, uncle? It was reported in the press by the owner, not the oil money. Chinese loan. Like I said, no Guyanese can get a cent from the oil money. And the world doesn't see and doesn't know that. I want to put something before y'all. Imagine other people in poor countries who watch that news story on Al Jazeera. What do you think they would do to us? Wouldn't they envy us? Thinking that we are sitting on top of the world, swimming with oil money. Huh? And look at we. Look where we are. Children fainting in classrooms from hunger. That's where we are. Today, Nanda Gopal, a former PPP minister, spoke about the hopelessness, poverty and desperation lived by the Guyanese people. Today we reported that in the Kaieteur news, that he's calling on the government to do what it takes to bring urgent relief to the Guyanese people. Yeah. He's calling on the government to increase salaries. When I read this story, I had to ask one of my staff if Gopal is still working with the government to come out and speak like that. Because a policeman, a nurse or a teacher can't even talk about a raise of pay. He or she would get fired instantly. The American journalist doesn't know that to tell the world. This is the transformative oil country where hopelessness, poverty and desperation killing Guyanese. But the world didn't know that or didn't hear this. Listen to the journalist as he continued to speak about Guyana. Hear what he had to say. Play the other piece.
Guyana's sprawling Stabroek
Guyana's sprawling Stabroek field holds an estimated 11 billion barrels of crude, enough to turn one of South America's poorest countries into one of the richest. And the contractor Exxon has discovered 2 more oil deposits just this past week, making that field bigger. Man, uncle, when you listen to these words, the world would think that Guyana is the greatest story ever told, and Guyanese are living it right now. Oh, yes. If they only know the truth, if they know the real horror story of that oil contract and what it has done and will continue to do to us, they would hold their head and cry for us if they so love mankind. Every day I cry in my heart for what I see taking place in this land. Every day. The reporter ended on a warning note. I want you guys to listen to him carefully. His choice of words as he ended his presentation. Please play that last piece for them. Up production might help this generation prosper while creating a base for the next. Hear him? Speeding up might help, not guarantee, but might help this generation prosper while creating a base for the next generation. That reporter was smart enough to present a story that is balanced. No one can accuse him of being biased, selling anybody's side of the story. He talked about Guyana, where Guyana was and where it might be going. He talked about the sleepy Demerara River, the transformation of Georgetown, and the poverty of the people. Then he ended it with speeding up production might help this generation prosper while creating a base for the next. The reporter is saying there, uncle, clearly. Yes, he's saying clearly. What you get in this generation will set the stage for what the next generation will start from. That's what he's telling us. Wow. Wow. My head is still hurting. Now, let me bring you to another horror story about our goal before I take your call and end this program. I talked twice on this program since Ashney Singh made that announcement a few months ago. How three more gold companies larger than OMI is on its way to Guyana. Well, today we discovered that another Canadian gold company done set up them shop. Yes, done set up them gold shop in our gold field, and none of us, the real owners, doesn't know a thing. Not a single word from the government or the politicians of this country. Not a statement, not a television interview, nothing. Kaieteur News found out about this through a statement last night that the gold company put out to their shareholders, uncle. That's how we find out. Through a statement they put up online to their shareholders. This is how me and you are treated in this country with our gold. Yes, our diamond, our bauxite, our wealth in general. You know, uncle, what gave me the headache was the way the company described the gold find in Guyana to their people. Me and the reporter had to just shake our heads and grin at each other as to what they have said. There is a gold fever in Guyana. You hear that, auntie? Gold fever. There's a gold fever in Guyana. The Canadians getting fever when them see the amount of me and you gold. Your children fainting in classrooms because of hungry belly. And those guys getting fever with our gold discoveries. You gotta love these politicians. You have to. You can't help it. And you have to stain your fingers for them too. You can't help it. I am not going to give my mouth liberty to say this is one of the companies that Ashney Singh spoke about. because this company was in Guyana since last year, June to be exact. So I am not certain if this is one of the three Ashley Singh spoke of a few months ago. But according to this new Canadian company, they are very large. Last year, they took over 2 gold fields from a company called Golden Eye, located in the Kaieteur, Mazaruni District, Region 7. Let me repeat it for you. This new Canadian company come here and buy over or buy out 2 gold fields from a company called Golden Eye, located in Kaieteur, Mazaruni District, Region 7. According to the statement from this new gold company, they first buy out 2 gold fields, Tassawini and Harpy, in June 2021 from a company that we government give the gold fields to. Hear that? We government give the gold fields to. This new company walk in, buy our gold fields from another company in our country. Yeah. And I don't want to talk about what we get. I ain't talking about that. And after they done buy the 2, they conducted some more searches in the area. Then the same company made another announcement to their shareholders in January of this year that they are buying out the 3rd gold project, Puruni, because there's a gold fever in Guyana. Those were their exact words. They're buying out the 3rd gold project, Puruni, because there's a gold fever in Guyana. Excuse me. This last buyout was done in July of this year. And the new company was granted 5 mining permits. 5. I think I'm getting a fever right now. A fever I'm getting just talking about the insanity and corruption that is going on in this country with these politicians. I only hope I feel better to do a program Wednesday. You want to hear some more? The vice president of this new Canadian company, Greg Smith, was quoted as saying, "It is an exciting opportunity to work in mining-friendly Guyana, especially with the success of Guyana Gold Fields, a property that is now owned by a Chinese company, Xinjiang Mining Inc., and borders the Harpy Gold Project." Harpy is one of the 2 gold field the first buyout. It's gold galore these chaps talking about in our country. Can you guys imagine a man swapping out your gold properties, collecting hundreds of millions of US dollars, and your children starving? Is this country for real? Really? I just tell y'all last week how Omai reached $6 billion US in gold find, which is double the whole country debts. And we still run into foreign banks to buy food and pay salary, indebting our children and grandchildren. Uncle and Auntie, with all the wrong things happening in this country every second of the day. I can't keep up with them. I swear it. Even if I am to do a program each day with that 96 hours in each day, not 24 hours, 96. I can't tell y'all everything. I cannot. Don't tell you the amount of wrongs being committed to this country every day. It's too much. The leaders breaking the laws every second of the day. How can one keep up? It's impossible. But I want to leave you guys tonight with this question. And just think about it. Who, which, or what kind of a parent, anyone you know, would left their children in debts? Which human being? Which caring and loving father or mother will do things like that? Just think about that. You see why Jagdeo can't release those contracts? Yes, because they know. They know we would see how they are sending our parents to their graves, leaving the children the burden of debts. Why? And I say why? Why these guys love Guyana? Huh? Uncle, these guys love Guyana and the people who live here? I ask myself quietly many times, how much is being deposited into these politicians' foreign bank accounts for doing